explained what Russia's recognition of Taliban government means for Afghan diplomacy. Russia officially recognized the Taliban government of Afghanistan on July 3, 2025, becoming the first nation to do so and signaling a major diplomatic change in the region. The step, which was announced following a meeting in Kabul between Russian Ambassador Dmitry Zhirnov and Afghanistan's acting Foreign Minister Mullah Amir Khan Muttaqi, has been labeled by Afghan officials as a historic step and the start of a new era in bilateral relations. But the significance of this recognition remains complicated, since formal international validation of the Taliban is still dependent upon the United Nations and global opinion. Sources told NEWS 18 that Russia's recognition is considered a step in the right direction for the Taliban regime but short of full international legitimacy. Sources highlight that formal recognition from the UN Protocol Division is required, and until that time comes, the Taliban will be diplomatically isolated. The development is considered part of a larger trend with most nations interacting with the Taliban at various levels to secure their interests and ensure regional stability. India has followed a watchful but pragmatic policy towards the Taliban regime. Although New Delhi has not officially recognized the Taliban, it has resumed a diplomatic mission in Kabul and permitted the Taliban to send a consul general to Mumbai. Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri just held talks with Taliban representatives, which was the highest level of interaction since the Taliban came to power. India's engagement is motivated by security interests, competition for influence in the region against China, and an interest in keeping a handle on Afghanistan. The Taliban took over Afghanistan on August 15, 2021, after the United States and NATO forces withdrew from the country. The group has since then pursued international recognition while imposing a strict form of Islamic law. Their attempts notwithstanding, no state had officially recognized the Taliban government until Russia's recent move, even though several countries, such as China, India, and the United Arab Emirates, have had varying levels of diplomatic interactions with the group. Russia's relationship with the Taliban has evolved dramatically over the past 2 decades. In 2003, Russia designated the Taliban as a terrorist organization due to its support for separatists in the North Caucasus. However, the Taliban's resurgence in 2021 and the shifting geopolitical landscape prompted Moscow to reassess its stance. In April 2025, Russia's Supreme Court removed the Taliban from its list of banned organizations, paving the way for official recognition. Russia's foreign ministry made the announcement that it accepted credentials from Afghanistan's newly appointed ambassador Gul Hassan Hassan, marking the beginning of productive bilateral cooperation. The ministry highlighted that this acknowledgement would promote cooperation in the fields of energy, agriculture, and anti-terrorism. Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi welcomed the move, terming it a good example for other countries and hoping that it would spur further global involvement. Russia's move is based on pragmatic reasons. Moscow considers the Taliban a ground reality and feels that talking to them is necessary in order to protect its interests in Central Asia. The Kremlin is seriously troubled by the ISKP threat, which carried out attacks in Afghanistan as well as Russia. By accepting the Taliban, Russia hopes to enhance security cooperation and counter-terrorism. Russia is also interested in huge economic benefits that can be derived from Afghanistan, especially in areas like energy, transportation, and agriculture. The Russian Foreign Ministry pointed to the promise of trade and infrastructure initiatives, which could be mutually advantageous for both nations. This economic aspect is a major reason Moscow is ready to normalize relations with the Taliban. By assuming the lead in recognizing the Taliban, Russia becomes a central figure in deciding Afghanistan's future. This decision is most probably aimed at projecting greater Russian influence in the region and establishing a precedent for other nations to do the same. It also constitutes part of Russia's larger policy of interacting with regimes that risk being isolated by the West and thus increasing its diplomatic presence. China has also dealt with the Taliban at multiple levels. Beijing has entertained Taliban ambassadors and permitted them to hold sway over Afghanistan's embassy in China, but not formal recognition. China is guided by economic interests, security concerns, and also a reluctance to be seen as the first major power to recognize the Taliban's controversial policies. Swipe left for next video. Some other nations, such as Turkey, Iran, and Pakistan, have established diplomatic ties with the Taliban but stopped short of conferring formal recognition. Such engagement is usually driven by regional, economic, or security interests, but all fall short of overt diplomatic support. Latest blogs.